What's up, everybody? I go by the name of Keith Keys, and in this video, we are going to break down the song Wind Blows by BC Soul. Hey, welcome back to the channel. If you're new here, please feel free to subscribe, hit the like button, and hit the notification bell if you want to see more videos like this. So in this video, what we're going to do is we're going to break down the song Wind Blows by BC Soul. It is out now, so if you want to go stream this whole song in its entirety, wherever you listen to your music, it's there, so feel free to go listen to it. And this song is like a modern R&B song. It has a lot of different elements to it that I just wanted to break it down. Hopefully you can find some inspiration inside of this song, some of the choices that we use for instrumentation, even down to the mixing. I did produce this song and I did mix this song as well, so I hope that you can find some things that you can actually implement into your own music. But without further ado, let's dive into the session. I'm gonna hit play so that you hear exactly what's going on, and then we can break down the different elements and how you can actually apply this to your session. Be sociable with living close to you. Am I still stress eating or kick my addiction to sugars? Do I still have a city complex that plays when how I choose partners? Is my Christmas still Santa hijacked? The rise of Christ on the Easter bunny's back. I'm fetishized, I'm brutalized, and go searching for my dreams to be realized. See, all of this really matters as it plays a part in who I am and who I am, and how I choose to show up with you. With full cast and strong wind, so hold your winds close to you. When the wind may blow, it all depends on how the wind blows. One minute you can think that I am close to you, and then I move. All right, cool. So that's a little bit of the song that you can kind of get the gist of it. So let's break down exactly what's going on, and we'll start from the drums. So right here, this is the drum section that's going on. I'll just hit play so you can kind of get an idea exactly what's going on. Cool. So now that's the basic cadence of the drums. What really inspired me to start this whole entire beat actually was this one percussion loop right here. And I actually just sped it up to the time of this BPM of this song. And then from that, it was this hi-hat loop. And I actually have no idea where I got this hi-hat loop from. It's just from the many banks of loops that I have on my computer, and yet it made it to the song. So that's the hi-hat loop. Next thing that I went to actually was kind of the 808, and I kind of at this point wanted to include some melodic elements. So 808 obviously is the lower notes choosing, kind of dictating the melody of the chords of the song. So I kind of went with the 808. This is what it sounds like. Cool. So the next thing I did is I added a kick, and I just made sure that I had a kick that complemented well with the 808 and that they weren't kind of fighting for attention. So this is just what I sound like. So then the next thing I added was just a clap. Now this clap alone has a very long reverb tail. So actually on this clap, I used this plugin called Spread from DJ Swivel, which is a great imaging plugin that you can use. It gives you the ability between your highs, your mids, and your lows to kind of dictate, which parameters, which bands you actually want to affect the imaging of. Then it also, you can set the parameters as far as up to what hertz or kilohertz for each band that you would like for it to affect. So I have the highs from 3000 and up. That's considered the highs on this particular clap, and just where I have the imaging going because of the reverb. The reverb kind of fills the whole stereo spectrum. So this is what that sounds like with the clap. And I'll cut it off so you hear it. Cut it back on. So doing that adds a little bit more presence to the clap, fills the frequency spectrum a little bit better, makes the clap a little bit more present and in your face, but it allows for the reverb to actually reach the stereo spectrum and to kind of get to the back of your head a little bit. The next thing that I have on the drum section is just this snare offbeat. Sounds like this. And all that's doing is just playing off of the kick drum, basically just trying to make a little feel, nothing too crazy. Just want to keep the same progression, the same tempo of the song, same feel of the song, but not be too crazy. And then the last thing I have is just this crash cymbal. It's just a simple crash just to help with the transitioning from 8 bars out, mainly almost through the whole song. This is what that sounds like. Yeah, nothing too crazy there. And then I have all the drums going to this channel right here, which is my drum bus channel. And I have a couple of things going on. First thing I have is the F6, the RTA EQ, a plugin from Waves. I do have shelving going on the lows and on the highs, only about 3 dB, and that's actually just there so it meets the next thing on the list on the chain, which is the compressor. So these frequencies from 8K and up, and from 45 hertz and down, basically like the 808s up, they meet the compressor first, which gives a nice effect when you are going into a compressor on a drum bus. It actually just gives the drums a little bit more presence. Usually I would do this if I was dealing with live drums. This technique would actually be used on a parallel compression that I would be using on the drums, but because these drums are already super processed, I just put it on the drum bus, not doing a super ton of compression either. So I'll play it with the EQ on and off so you can kind of hear that effect, and then I'll play it with the compressor on and off so you can hear that effect as well. Off. Yeah, so it definitely adds a lot of glue and cohesiveness to the overall drums as being one instrument altogether, especially when you're having elements like a 808 that is super low in the frequency spectrum, and then like a hi-hat that's super tingy all up in the high end of the frequency spectrum. This technique, along with the compressor, which I'm using the CLA2A, which is one of my favorite compressors to actually use, it gives a very nice effect. Now, the last thing that I do have on the drum bus chain is Magneto 2. This plugin is a stock plugin for Cubase users from Steinberg. So this is what I actually have going on. It's only going as low as 150 hertz. Usually when you have like 808s and stuff, you want to kind of be careful about using a lot of saturation because it adds a lot of harmonics and a lot more information to it. So you just want to be careful. Sometimes if you're used to using a sub, or you're not actually, or if you're mixing on smaller speakers and you want to make sure the 808 can translate into smaller speakers, using a saturation plugin will be helpful because it will add some harmonics to the 808 that will reach up in the mid-range frequency spectrum and not just in the low range. But you want to be careful because if you overdo it, you're just introducing a lot more harmonics and information that compressors are going to have a struggle and a problem later dealing with. So this is what it sounds like with Magneto on. I'll cut it on and off so you can hear the difference. Cool. And if you listen, you can really hear how the saturation actually brings life to the drum section. So, and as we keep going down, the next thing that actually happened with making this beat actually was the keys. I'm a keys player, so usually I go to the keys like first. Some instances, this time it really was the drums. So then I went down to the keys section. So I'm using only two different keys, two different types of keys for this project, which is just a regular piano. So in this piano, I'm actually using Halion Sonic SE, which is a plugin. Once again, it's the stock plugin from Steinberg and Yamaha, same company. So they have a lot of great piano sounds, actually. So on this track, I'm just using the Mellow. So this is what this sounds like solo. Cool. And then right below it, once again, I'm with the Halion Sonic SE, and I'm actually using this stock electric piano. They actually have a lot of great electric pianos. So I just used the stock electric piano. I just felt like this one felt a little bit better for this song to complement with the piano. So this is what that sounds like. Both of the keys together. I add the drums back. Cool. And on the keys bus, all my instruments go to a bus for the instrument. But on the bus, I just have, once again, the spread plugin from DJ Swivel. And once again, just the highs are kind of being expanded across this frequency spectrum, the stereo spectrum. That just gives it a lot more width. I love pianos, especially. You can hear the details in it from left to right, from the low notes to the high notes. So I love to add stereo imaging plugins when it comes to keys. So that's what that sounds like, the two keys that I have going on. So then we'll just go up to this synth section. So the first thing that we have in the synth section are two different brasses. Once again, I just basically use Halion Sonic again. It was just an easy go-to. So I'll play these two brass sections so you can actually hear what's going on. That's one. Here's two. Yeah, that's definitely hard. Both of them together gives you this effect. Cool. So definitely just playing the same thing, two different type of brass instruments, playing hard left, hard right, gives you that effect. Then right underneath it, I have this trio lead. This is like a go-to from my motif over here that I always use. So this is kind of like what that is doing. I'll just play that alone in solo so you can hear it. At the keys, at the drums. Cool. So that's just highlighting the melody of the song and what BC Soul's actually singing. And then right underneath that, I got some marimba bells. I don't know why it's in the synth folder, but it's there. So don't act like that y'all don't put stuff in the wrong place. It's there, and these are what the marimba bells sound like. Cool. So it's just highlighting those notes that is a complement to the lead. So I play them together. Cool. So that's just helping to highlight the melody of the song. So I'll play all of that together with the drums and the keys. Sounds like this. All right, cool. So that's about it for the instrumentation of this song. Very simple. Not too many things going on. It's not too many instruments as far as every instrument group that's taking place. As long as you have a great rhythmic foundation with R&B, play some nice chords. That's just not a lot of chords. You can kind of let the vocals fill in the blanks and be the star of the show, which we will go there next. So we have here, I have a lot of vocals going on this whole session. I have the hook vocals right here, and then I have a bunch of like BGV hook vocals going on as well. For a lot of this song, I'm using the same exact processing. For a lot of the vocal tracks, it's the same singer. We were using the same exact microphone when we tracked all of these songs, going through the same set of outboard gear. So it's the same bit of processing that I've done to all of the vocals. So we'll just go through one of the chains and you can kind of hear exactly what's going on. The first item on this plugin chain that I do have is this Deep Breath plugin by Waves, which is an awesome plugin that detects the breaths that you take in a recording and it eliminates them. It's also a gate as well, works very similar with a gate because it has a gate in it. But just be sparse when you're using a plugin like this, because sometimes it works too well. It takes away the feeling of the song, and sometimes it may not work as well as you cutting out your breaths, which I still do cut out the breaths, but this does pick up a lot of like sibilance at the end of a word. So I use it once in a while. I definitely used it for this session in a lot of areas. No need to kind of play that. The next item on this plugin chain, on this vocal chain I have, is the Waves Tune Real Time plugin. This is very similar to Auto Tune, which it does. It automatically tunes your vocal to the closest note in the scale of the song, in the key of the song, according to the scale of that key. So very similar to Antares Auto Tune plugin. I have the speed going pretty quick, the transition of the notes semi quick. The key of the song is F sharp. So what I'll do is I'll cut it off, play it, and then I'll add it in, and you can hear exactly what it's doing.
Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows.
I'll play it with.
Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. One minute.
So you can kind of hear a little bit of what it's doing. It's tuning the vocal all the way to each key that's actually in the key that's in the scale of that key. So I said a lot of keys just now. But yeah, that's exactly what it's doing. That's what auto-tune is. That's what this plugin is doing. It's just help tightening up the vocals on each specific note that is being sung. So the next item I have in this vocal plugin chain is the F6 by RTA, once again by Waves. I really do love this EQ. So this is what I'm doing. I'm doing a lot of cutting, so a lot of subtractive EQ. I don't typically like to do any additive EQ and adding frequencies at this stage. At the beginning of a vocal chain at all. So I'm doing a lot of cutting here. There was a lot of frequencies that caused a little bit of problems, a little bit of pain points. So what I'll do is I'll play the vocal without it, and then I'll add it in, and you can hear exactly what it's doing. So without.
Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can think that I am
With.
blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can think that
So
I
it
am.
definitely smooths out the vocal, and a lot of those resonant frequencies that are pain points, I eliminate those, and there were just a lot in this vocal. So that's exactly what I did. Usually around the 3K, that is always like my arch nemesis right there. So I kind of treat that pretty heavily and pretty wide in some cases. So that's exactly what I'm doing. Right here around the 230 hertz range, I do have some dynamic compressing going on, dynamic EQing going on with this band, so that it can bring down some of those frequencies and not necessarily just eliminate it and keep them there. I want it to actually move. Sometimes if we take too much or out of this range in a vocal, the vocal sounds very thin. So I do have that going on there. But we are moving on. The next item in this vocal chain is the CLA 76 compressor. Now, I love a 76 style compressor. I use one almost on all my vocal chains as outboard gear. So this is exactly what we're doing. We're doing a 4-to-1 ratio. Attack's pretty quick. A release is just about the same. So this is what it sounds like without, and then we'll add it in.
Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can think that I am.
And I'll add it in.
Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can think that I am.
Cool. So you can hear what it's doing. It's giving just a bit of dB of gain reduction, maybe around 3-4 dB of gain reduction, just to tame some of these peaks and bring up some of the lows inside of this vocal, just to keep the vocal sounding consistent. Love this plugin. And the next item on this vocal chain is the Sibilance plugin by Waves. It's a lot of Waves plugins. This plugin is a sibilant reducing, extracting, eliminating plugin. It's a de-esser. So what I am doing here, you can kind of hear, I'll just play it so you can hear exactly what I'm doing with this. It's a de-esser. We don't have to get too crazy about it. This is the threshold. You bring this up or down to determine when you want the de-esser to start. This is the detection mode, to where you want the de-esser to actually detect S's, the S sound that's wider in band or more narrow in band. I have it leaning more so on the narrower side, and this is the range that in which it brings down those sibilant frequencies. I have it at -13 dB reduction, so I'll just play it without it, add it in, you can hear how it sounds.
Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you
I'll add it in.
blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can think that.
Cool. So it's not doing too much, because when I actually did a lot of the editing, I made sure I manually attacked a lot of the S's. The song is Wind Blows, and there's a lot of blows and S's on the in this song, so I wanted to make sure I attacked that manually and added a de-esser for good keeping, and that was that. So what I have next inside this vocal chain is I have the API 550A EQ. So this is a great EQ just to add some color and characteristics. I'm boosting a bit in the high end. Boosting just a tad in the mid frequencies, not doing anything in the low frequencies at all. EQs like this are great if you want to add a little bit of coloration and texture to your vocal. So I'll play it without and play it with. You can hear what's going on.
Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can think that I am, and then I'm. When wind blows, wind blows, wind blows. It all depends on how the wind blows.
You can hear a dramatic difference in the energy of this vocal when it's actually taking place. Matter of fact, I'll play just that vocal and I'll play everything else that's going on just so you can hear exactly what's going on when I cut on and off that EQ. So with it off. So you can actually hear how that vocal starts to cut through the mix with it on. I'll do it again. Off. On. Not only did it bring characteristics, but it brought some energy, it let it cut through the song, and it brought some clarity through the vocal. So now the next thing on this list, I have the Abbey Roads saturator, which is a great saturator, once again, by Waves. This is a great saturator. I have a lot of great saturating plugins. This plugin I like to use a lot on vocals. It's just something about it. So I do have a bit of saturation going on. I have the pre-EQ going on a little bit before we actually get into the saturation. So on the input chain, I do have the pre-EQ on, shelving a little bit to actually just have some EQ added to it going in. So it's a lot of EQ going on this whole vocal chain altogether. Then I do have the saturation plugin, which is doing quite a bit of saturation on the vocal. If you really want your vocals to sound more present, more focused, then saturation is one thing that will definitely do that. So here is the vocal with the saturator off and on. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can think that I am close, and then I'm. When wind blows, wind blows, wind blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute. So if you hear, the saturation actually adds a lot of harmonics that allows the vocal to cut more through the song. So this vocal in particular singularly is kind of low because I do have multiple vocals, 2 other vocals that are actually singing the same exact thing, which allows it to cut through the mix. So once we get through the vocal chain, I'll play with it all and you can kind of hear exactly what I'm talking about. But the last bit on this vocal chain, I have the Fresh Air plugin by Slate Digital. This is a great plugin if you want to add some air, some brightness, some lightness to a vocal. It adds quite a bit, so you definitely don't want to overdo it in most cases. So I'll play it without it, then I'll add it, and you'll hear exactly what I'm saying. So this is it without. Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute. With. Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can think that I am, and then. Cool. So it adds a lot of bit of air to it, and also when you do that, it does add quite a bit of sibilance back into the actual vocal. So I have all of these vocals going down to this vocal bus right here, and at the end of all of it, all the vocals end up here. I actually have the Soothe 2 plugin going on, which is doing a DS stereo because I have every vocal pans left to right, every single vocal going to this. So I do have it here. I do have it on the soft mode, and it's not too sharp. The depth is at 5.7, and it's taking a lot of that sibilance out. So I'll play it with it off and on. Off.
Blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can
On.
blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can say.
So this plugin is like a cheat code for anything that you're working on, the Soothe 2 plugin. So this is what all the vocals sound like. I'll add all the vocals back in so you can hear exactly what they sound like. So here we go.
It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute you can say that I am close to you, and then I move with you. Wind blows, wind blows, wind blows. It all depends on how the wind blows. 1 minute I can be so sure.
Cool. So, and then for the background vocals, all I have on a lot of them is just a simple the Waves Tune plugin just to help tune every vocal individually. Then I just have them go into a stock compressor just to tame some of the highs and lows. Nothing great is going on because I do have all of the background vocals going to here to this BGV bus. That's where a lot of the processing is taking place. It's almost the same exact processing as the main vocal, but not too much. I don't have the saturation on background vocals a lot of times because I need for that to sit more in the mix than actually be present, super present, especially kind of in the R&B, realm. You don't want the background vocals to kind of be overtake the main vocal. So that's how they're sitting. They're going to the BGV bus, and then it's doing some of the same processing. Also in the song, we do have a rap portion of the song. I'll just play it real quick and run down the vocal chain of that.
Everybody always thinking that I got it all together. I'm really trying hard not to fall apart. Hunted by the voices bringing out the failed endeavors. So lately I've been feeling like it's just whatever. Clearly haven't been the same, tell you that you know what. Maybe I'm dealing with the pains of growing old. Never really thought I'd make it to 25. I get like it's a curse, a blessing to be alive. Still can't keep a job cause I...
So cool. That's a little bit of the verse from the vocal by an artist by the name of Tachino. A very great rapper, very great artist. I just have some EQing going on. It's a lot of broad EQs going on. It was a lot of muddiness going on right here in the mid-range, ranging all the way from around 200 up to the 1K area. It was just a lot going on, so I took a lot of that out. I'll play the vocal chain with that off and on.
Everybody always thinking that I got it all together. I'm really trying hard not to fall apart. Hunted by the voices bringing out the failed endeavors. So lately I've been feeling...
So with it off, you can definitely hear that boxiness. I'll play it.
Everybody always thinking that I got it all together. I'm really trying hard not to fall apart.
On.
Hunted by the voices bringing out the failed endeavors. So lately I've been feeling like it's just whatever. Clearly haven't been the same.
Takes a lot of that boxiness out and a lot of that room tone out as well. Next, I do have the CLA 76 again. Fast attack, slow release. Definitely trying to keep the vocals, all the different words, all the different peaks and lows very consistent throughout raps. Then I also have the Sibilance plugin, once again, as the de-esser. You can see waves. Man, you're definitely making a killing out of my vocal chains here. Another API, a 550A, once again, almost doing the same exact EQ changes that I did with the lead vocal, just to add some more presence in the low end, the mid-range, and in the high end, definitely trying to make it be more present. Once again, I added the Abbey Road saturation on here. This is a little bit different. I'm not doing as much saturation on this vocal, and also on this vocal I also am using the post EQ, and I'm definitely around 10K. I'm definitely shelving around 10K for his particular vocal on this song. And then at the very end of this, I actually have a mono to stereo plugin just to make this really mono. I think this file at the very beginning was a stereo file. I converted it into mono, but that doesn't mean that you're getting rid of a lot of the stereo information. This is just a mono stereo plugin. It's more so of a utility, not necessarily brings any coloration or anything to the song. And I have the mono portion selected, so it's just a mono signal. And then from here, for all the vocals, I actually have all the vocals for all of these songs going to different places. And for this song, for the sensitive vocal, I also do have a parallel compression chain that is compressing around 8 to 12 dB for the main vocals of this song and for the rap vocals as well. I try to stay around 8 to 10 dB of gain reduction, and then I blend that in to the song just to make the vocals stand out. I can show you a little bit about what that sounds like right here with the rap vocal. So
everybody always thinking that I got it all together. I'm really trying hard not to fall apart. Hunted by the voices bringing out the failed endeavors. So lately I've been feeling like it's just whatever. Clearly haven't been the same. Tell you that you know what? Maybe I'm dealing with the pains of growing old.
And what parallel compression is just another signal of the actual channel that you want to compress, that you want to add back in, and it's overly compressed so that it gives you kind of the meat and potatoes, the substance of the actual vocal take. You blend that back in with the original, and then you let the original handle all of the dynamics. For this rap vocal, I also have it going to a stereo delay. For all of my delays and my reverbs, I love Valhalla, so I have the Valhalla delay going on. I set it at a 30-second note, so it's definitely is a more like a stereo ping pong type of delay. I don't have it too loud at all. And then I also have the spread plugin by DJ Swivel, once again actually spreading the whole entire delay across the frequency spectrum, the stereo spectrum. And then I also added a little bit of reverb, only because on the vocals I have a lot of reverb going on, and I wanted it to stay consistent. I'm not a big super fan of reverb on rap vocals. I have it going to this channel called the Short Verb, and only on here I have the Valhalla Vintage Verb set around 1.60 seconds, pre-delay of 21 seconds. I try to stay around 20 seconds of pre-delay, milliseconds, not seconds, milliseconds of pre-delay for vocals. And then on all of these channels, I try to do a fair bit of filtering and cutting around the 3K range, because I just do not like that frequency spectrum when it comes to vocals, and I don't even want to end up in my delay or in my reverb. So that's basically what I'm doing for all the sends. And I'll play the song one last time with all the plugins in, and we can hear exactly what's going on.
Everybody always thinking that I got it all together. I'm really trying hard not to fall apart. Hunted by the voices bringing out the failed endeavors. So lately I've been feeling like it's just whatever. Clearly haven't been the same. Tell you that you know what? Maybe I'm dealing with the pains of growing old. Never really thought I'd make it to 25. I get like it's a curse, a blessing to be alive. Still can't keep a job cause I never want to be there. Don't believe it.
Huh.
When the wind may blow, it all depends on how the wind blows. One minute you can say that I am close to you, and then I know when wind blows, wind blows, wind blows. It's not that I'm even trying to be inconsistent.
So cool, that's the gist of this song, Wind Blows by BC Soul featuring Techino. Once again, the song is out now, so you can go stream the song, listen to the song, and I hope that this video was helpful and you were able to get some elements and get some tools, get some techniques from this that you can implement and add to your own music. I go by the name of Keith Keys. Please, if you would, subscribe to the channel, hit the like button, hit the notification bell for more videos like this, and I'll see you in the next video. Peace. Peace.
It all depends on how the wind